The first meeting I attended was in Chicago. It was the Eight Chicago Women exhibition that Elizabeth Yakimovich organized at the Chicago Historical Society, then the Chicago History Museum now. And it was a wonderful, wonderful symposium. And it was just entrancing. The papers were wonderful. People were very friendly and generous, and I was overwhelmed with all of the sort of excitement that everyone had about costume. So it was very intriguing and exhilarating. I think from the very beginning, the Costume Society was very well organized. They had a constitution, they had bylaws, they operated with Robert's Rules of Order. They really were very professional about the organization, however small it was. And they were very careful about following proper procedures. Well, the earliest members, of course, gathered in Adele Filene's living room. Right. And Adele Filene had suggested the formation of the Costume Society of America and encouraged Elizabeth Yakimovich, who was then at the Museum of the City of New York, and Ann Coleman, who was then at Brooklyn, and Stella Blum, who was at the Costume Institute, and Herb Callister, who was at the Wadsworth Atheneum. I don't know who else, but they were encouraged to join. And so they brought in other people to serve in different capacities. Adele was the treasurer for a long, long time. She brought in Ruth Weinstein, who was a volunteer at the Costume Institute, and Ruth did a lot of the early membership work. Mavis Dalton, who was on the staff of the Costume Institute, also did membership work. When I was hired at the Costume Institute, that was my job, doing the membership work for the Costume Society. I think they tried to cast the net as broadly as possible. They really, originally, it was almost exclusively museum people. There were almost no academic professionals in the society. And then they wanted it, though, to be a broad membership. And so they encouraged theater people and they encouraged people in the industry, particularly because they needed the financial support of some of the industry people. So Shannon Rogers, for example, was a member of the Costume Society and an early fellow, and gave them space at one point down at FIT for an office. So they really were trying to be expansive.